Hi, I'm Tim, and this is The Smaller Life. This is episode 2 of my cargo trailer reset series, and today I'm actually I'm right in the middle of the build process of my cargo trailer, and I'm going to talk to you today actually about what all of my plans are and how I'm going to make it simple but really efficient and effective and meet all the needs that I have. In the first episode, I really talked to you about why. Why am I doing this? So if you haven't checked that out, there is a playlist in the description below to make sure that you kind of go back and do that. But in essence, rising cost of living, mounting pressures, never-ending treadmills of work and stress, anxiety, etc. And this stuff is applying to everyone today. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out in the workforce at 19, 20, early 20s, something like that, or you're in your retirement years like me, and you've already worked your whole life, and now you're like, wow, the cost of living is so outrageous. The cost of food, the cost of housing, the cost of mortgages, insurance, taxes, maintenance, repairs, just all this stuff. It's literally out of control. And there are some serious problems happening in this country. So I talk about in this series, and there's going to be 8 episodes in total, what I'm doing as my response to that, right? So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it. It lets me know that you're interested in this content. And I will always promise to be authentic and genuine, and I don't want anything from you. I just want to have conversation with you. I'm not going to try and sell you something. I'm not going to try and take you to a website and buy my book. I'm not doing any of that stuff. So if you want real conversation about these real problems that we're all facing today, this is the right place for you. So I will jump in and I'll walk you around the cargo trailer, but I will tell you this is a 7 by 16 by 7 feet high interior cargo trailer. That was the size that worked for me. And a little bit of history about me real quick is that I've got a lot of experience over the years of traveling the country in a DIY conversion cargo, not cargo, but a Sprinter van that myself and my son, Tim Jr., finished out. We made it like a little log cabin inside. It was super cool. So I have spent a lot of time on the road. I've spent a lot of time mobile. I've already worked through all the things of how do I stay clean? How do I go to the bathroom? How do I get good sleep? How do I make meals? And these are the things that I think a lot of people today, because we're used to living in these enormous homes, and I was one of them. I had at different times, I had a 4,500 square foot home. I've had a 3,000 square foot home. I've had a 2,000 square foot home. And, in retrospect, none of that was ever needed. And now I did raise a family and had kids, and you do need space for them, and I get all that. But, it's just depends on where you're at in your life and what you need. But the idea of kind of minimizing, not buying so much, not consuming everything. We're constantly bombarded with all these marketing messages at every age that the system just tries to keep us on the treadmill. And whether you have an entire family, you can apply those principles, or whether you're single like myself and you're in your retirement years, you can absolutely really apply. I mean, I have total choice over the food that I buy, how much exercise that I do, how much time I spend relaxing, how much time I spend reading or just doing things that I enjoy doing, and certainly how much money I spend or whatever. I can't blame anyone but myself. So I'm not sure where you're at in your stage of life, but these principles do apply, right? So anyway, let me jump in, and I'm going to, in this video, just kind of share what I'm doing. But the principle behind it is I am not going overboard. I'm not spending unnecessary money. I'm trying to keep the cost to a minimum, and it needs to be functional. It needs to meet my requirements. and I need to feel comfortable in the space. And so what I need to be able to do to feel comfortable is, number one, I need climate control. I'm in an area that has 4 seasons, right? And so I need air conditioning. I need a fan, sometimes just ventilation whenever the temperatures are nice. And I certainly need heat at times. So I have to design for all of that. But I don't need, like in my last house, I spent $12,000 on a brand new replacement heating and cooling system. The next year, there was some part that went out, but yet, even though it was under warranty, I paid over $900 in quote unquote labor fees and I guess replacement Freon or something like that. I'm not joking. The next year, it was a different part had failed on the outside. That was $806. And then another part failed, some type of relay, and that was in the $500 range. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. It literally was driving me nuts in a home that was meticulously maintained. You do all the right things. I spent $12,000. And in order to spend $12,000, you have to make $20,000 because of taxes. And so that's a lot of money. And it didn't end there, just as I guess a sidebar, just talking about this heating and cooling stuff. Then I had, and this is like I said, a really well maintained, beautiful home. I had the dishwasher go out. I had a major repair on the gas range. I had the hot water heater. And so anyway, thousands of dollars. And that was just like the breaking point for me personally, is I just had enough. And I just realized, what am I doing here? Why do I need this 3,000 square feet? What is wrong with me, right? And I'm like, I had a much smaller life experience when I did all my traveling. I've been through all the initial hurdles, which are typically problematic for people of, oh my gosh, how am I going to go to the bathroom? How am I going to stay clean? How am I going to sleep? Whatever it is, all these things that we think we need all this space for. And you figure out whenever you go through some life experience that you need way, way less, right? So anyway, back to the heating and cooling. Instead of spending thousands of dollars in never-ending repairs like I did in my last home, I will be putting in a 5,000 BTU window air unit. And where I'm standing right here is towards the back of the trailer, and I'll show you around here in a minute. And there is a ramp exit door in the back, okay? So like if this were the trailer here, there's a door that goes like this. Well, this door is gonna come down like wherever I'm parked at or whatever. And I have a screened in little pod thing that I have. And in the trailer, about 2 feet in, I'll be putting in a wall right here. And in this wall, I'll have a door and I'll have 2 windows. And one of the windows, I'll have a simple $120 5,000 BTU air conditioner. And it works perfectly. I actually did it in my Sprinter. And that thing lasted for years. I think I had it like 8 years, and I'd paid less than $100 for it. So if you buy it new now, I think they're in the 120 to 130 range, depending on the kind of the time of year and whether you get it at Walmart or Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever it is, right? And so that's it. So if something happens to the air conditioner down the road, it's $100 roughly to replace it. So I really like the sound of that, trust me, after what I've been through. So that's going to take care of my air conditioning. And for heating, I'm going to be using what I had used in my Sprinter. They make 2 sizes. Camco makes the Olympian Wave catalytic heaters, and it runs on propane. And so you need a couple things whenever you heat a space, any size space really. It is a ventless heater, but you still need fresh air intake, and that's really key, right? And you need to have a carbon monoxide detector as well. But they're installation, so use what I'm telling you as, you know, the gospel, and that make sure you read all the safety and installation instructions and that. I'm just giving you the general overview. So my approach, rather than cutting a 14-inch hole in my roof and doing something like a MaxxAir or a Fantastic Fan, something like that, I found a place that made really nice heavy-duty 6-inch louvered air intake vents, and all I have to do is on the sidewall in a low down to the floor, and I'll show you where I put the heater at here in a minute. I'll put an air intake vent there, and all that really requires is I get a 4-inch hole saw and I drill through the sidewall of the trailer, and the vent comes in, and that's it. And then on the inside, if for some reason, if I don't want fresh air coming in, which there are, or I guess it could let some light in, and I'll talk to you about that later too. I have a little flap system that I've designed that you'll see that later. So when you do that, you want to have one of those sources low and one high. And that way you'll have enough fresh air coming in. And you could do it if you want to go with the ceiling fan. That's, you know, also ample, very common approach. I just didn't want to cut holes in the roof. And I've had other campers and other things throughout the years, and roof leaks aren't fun. And I don't want to have to ever take this back apart. And one way to have a pretty high degree of certainty is don't cut a big hole in your roof. So there's other ways to do it. And then if I want fresh air just kind of blowing around in here, I'll show you later. I'm going to be powering this very simply as well, which I'll talk to you about. I can get a small fan and move air around in here. So that takes care of part of the comfort, which is the heating and the cooling. Now, two more critically important things to be able to have your personal comfort over the long haul is you have to be able to get rest, and you have to be comfortable, right? And that's going to look differently for everybody. Me, I had a lower back injury when I was in my youth. I was a big baseball player, and I broke fingers, broke my nose, you know, actually did some damage to my back. And so for me, I rest the absolute best and get the best sleep in a recliner. So I haven't been able to sleep in a bed for, I don't know, it's been decades. I literally just kind of fought it forever. And then I stumbled into the thing. I think I had got injured or something, and I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was in the recliner, I got the best sleep of my life. And then just, I don't know why you don't think of these things, but anyway, so I've been sleeping in a recliner for decades. So I don't need to put a big bed in here. Now, if you did, I would recommend something called the E-Track system, which allows you, once you get your walls up, you put these E-Tracks in, and you can just slide in a simple 2x4 piece of plywood. You can have it at any height you want. You can put it in easily. You can take it out. You could set it up, you know, whatever you needed to do. Very simple installation. I don't personally need that, but I will be using the E-Track system up in the nose of the trailer, where I install a countertop up there. And once I get that built and stuff, I'll show it to you in a future video. So that takes care of my sleeping and my resting. I also, whenever I want to sit down, read a book, I want to do research on the computer or whatever it is, just relaxation. So my bed is my recliner and my place of relaxation. So it's a small footprint. It really works for me. The next thing is you need to be able to eat. And for me, I do need to refrigerate things because I do like to have, I actually eat dairy-free yogurt because I've got just a problem where I'm gluten intolerant and I need dairy-free. So I need a refrigerator. So I've been using refrigerators forever, like in my trucks. And my plan right now is I've got a really nice Dometic refrigerator, very low power consumption. that is way more than enough space for me personally. And it's always kept in the back seat of my truck. And I drive a 2004 GMC 2500. It's been paid for forever, runs perfect. Anything goes wrong with it, the repairs are simple. Everything works on the truck, and that's one of the ways that we'll talk about this later, that I just got off the treadmill of buying, vehicles, and I bought a lot of them, trust me, in my lifetime, and all the taxes and the personal property tax that you have in the state where I'm at. And I just got off that treadmill. And the insurance is outrageous on these new vehicles. So I have everything I need, right, in that vehicle. Well, in that vehicle, I removed the rear seats. It's a, what they call a king cab. There's 4 full doors in the truck. I removed the back seats, and I have tons of storage back there. And I have a Jackery 1000 battery system that is charged by the truck anytime I drive it, so it's always topped off. And the refrigerator is plugged into the Jackery. And that just stays in there full time all the time. And I do enough driving between, making runs to the grocery store. I go out, I like to go out and hike, and I like to go just in the back country. I like going out in nature. So I'm always doing driving all the time anyway. And so it's always topped off. I do have portable solar panels that will charge up that battery. I haven't needed them yet. And if I ever do, I've got them, and they're in the back of the truck where I have a camper shell, and I got a bunch of stuff back there. It's really organized and stored in totes. And it has to be not subject to temperature fluctuations, because like I say, it gets real hot here, it gets cold here, so on and so forth, right? So I keep tools back there. I have the ability to change, flat tires. I have the ability to dig myself out of weird situations. If I get in the backcountry, I need a shovel or I need traction pads to get out or whatever. So that covers the food side of it. And mostly for me, I eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. My typical eating plan for the day is I like to have oatmeal in the morning and a piece of fresh fruit, typically a banana. So the bananas don't need to be refrigerated or anything like that, but I'll have a simple little, small little microwave that'll go up in the front area, where I'll talk to you about that in a minute. And that's where I'll make my oatmeal. And then throughout the day, I just typically graze on just fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. Like carrot sticks and celery and different kinds of fruit, blueberries, strawberries, things like that. And I really don't eat that much during the daytime on purpose. And then in the evening, I like to just have a variety of healthy choices. It could be anything from grilled fish or grilled chicken or turkey, something like that. Typically always a vegetables. I like sweet potatoes. So I'm a pretty simple eater. It doesn't matter where I live, that's how I eat, right? And so that eating lifestyle, if you will, works out really good for my overall health. And it works out really good from a simplicity and sustainability standpoint, living in a small space. So that covers that. And I think it's important to cover these details with you, because everybody's different. Your eating plan, your needs, your requirements, there's no way that they're going to be the same as mine. But by me sharing mine with you, hopefully it may either give you some ideas you didn't think of, or even have the realization, gosh, maybe I could simplify how I eat. Even if that epiphany happens, that's hopefully a bonus. So the other side of it is, probably a lot of people don't like to talk about, but you need to go to the bathroom. And for a man, that's pretty easy for going pee. So you can probably figure that out. And then the other thing for the solid waste is for years I've been doing this, just a portable little toilet where you have these biodegradable bags, and you just basically tie up the waste, and then you're able to dispose of that safely. And that is super easy. So in other words, I don't need a flushing toilet. I don't need, you know, a drain system and any of that stuff. I just don't need it, right? I've been using that method for decades because, like I said, I've traveled so much, and it's just common sense to me. But I can tell you, I have run across people and have talked to people in modern times that are literally horrified to think that they cannot flush a toilet. I've got a newsflash for those people that people did not have flushing toilets just until, you know, our recent modern times. People survived for thousands of years before flushable toilets, right? So anyway, and then there's just responsible ways, which we'll get into that later, you know, to make sure you dispose of that correctly. All right, so that covers, I think, most of it. You know, it's important to be comfortable. It's important to be healthy, you know, so on and so forth. And so that covers like all the basics, and then how I'm going to approach that. Now I will state, and I'll kind of show you around a little bit here in a minute, but for me, from an appliance standpoint, a microwave is enough. I have a little butane one burner stove, like if I want to, you know, heat something up or, you know, cook something or whatever, that's more than adequate for me. So that takes care of all of, you know, those needs. Just a couple pots where I can boil water, and then like I guess it's like a frying pan, I guess, size or whatever, because I'll maybe get like some ground turkey, lean ground turkey, and make like a turkey burger or something like that occasionally. I do have a small little 12-inch, I think they call it a little smoky grill, that stays in a tote in the back of the truck. And that's where I like to grill chicken breast and fish, and they're just delicious whenever you do that on the a charcoal grill. So I really like that. So as you can see, these things are pretty simple. The microwave's small. It's going to set up in the very front on that countertop up there. The Jackery power system is going to set up there. That's where I will charge my phone, charge my, I just have one laptop computer, and yeah, that's about it. That's the stuff that I would need to have charged or whatever. For lighting, I'm keeping it super simple. I am not drilling holes in these steel beams on the sidewalls and running wires all over the place. I'm not doing it. There's no need for it. I am going with rechargeable. You can get a couple different kinds, but basically they're LED puck lights. And these LED puck lights, they can either be 3 or 4 inches in diameter, and you just touch them and they come on. And depending on the kind you get, they have different amounts of lumens, meaning the intensity of the light. And I got the brightest ones, which were about 50 lumens. And you got to look at that and make sure. And I think some of them were around 20 lumens, which would be pretty low intensity of light. So my plan, after I get the ceiling in, I've got to insulate this yet, and I'm going to put beadboard in the ceiling. I simply just with glue, two-sided tacky tape, which comes with the puck lights, you just take them and you install it there. And whenever the rechargeable, in my case, AA batteries die out, I just put them on the charger and recharge them, and off I go, right? So I'll probably have like 10 or 12 throughout the roof here. I might even put 1 or 2 on the wall. Just, I don't know until I get in here and spend time in here. But that's the general lighting strategy. Yeah, I don't need too much. I'll have a small oscillating fan that will be powered off of the Jackery as well. And that's sometimes you just like a little air movement. And that was a counterpoint to not going with the roof fan ventilation system with the MaxxAir. So it's really not that hard, you know. So, and I've done that as well. A nice, just little 10-inch, or you can get them even bigger, 12-inch oscillating fan. It moves plenty of air in a small space like this. On a 7x16 trailer, you're talking 110, 115 square feet. See, it'd be 112 square feet is the math I just did in my head there. So you're not talking about a lot of space. And yeah, that's the advantage. And anything that you do, you can do it really well because it's very, very small, right? And you can really treat yourself to nicer things sometimes when the space is so small. The other thing I'm doing is I am an avid reader, and I also love doing old-time historic, meaning early 1800s handmade photography. And so it's all chemical based, and I need probably about a 4-foot work surface. I've got a couple different trays that I have to put the chemistry in and process the plates and stuff. And so I need a little workspace for that, and I need distilled water on hand to do that. So one of the things I'm going to do is have like a multi-purpose area here on this side. I'm going to have an 8-foot work surface that's here, and there'll be a little shelf underneath it. And then up on the wall here, I'm going to go with 12-inch by 3-foot wide wall cabinets. Think about those cabinets that are above your refrigerator, maybe at your house, at a normal house. So it's just, 12 inches high and then about 3 feet wide. I'll have 2 of those, and then that will be all of my storage. And I'll be able to put a lot of stuff up there, paper towels, bowls, plates, spoons. And the thing is, in my case, I only need like 2 of everything, 2 forks, 2 spoons, 2 knives. Technically, you don't even need 2, but it's just easier if you have 2. And, sometimes it's nice to have a second one or whatever, or if you're lazy one day and you didn't want to wash the dishes till the next day, you can get away with it for one day. Anyway, all that storage there. And then underneath the work surface, there's plenty of room for totes, 8 feet, linear feet of totes, and that's where all of my extra stuff. And I really cut down like on my clothes. I only have like 4 pairs of pants and stuff that I wear on a regular basis, and I always keep one nicer set of clothes in case I need to go to some function or event that would require you to look nice. You want to look nice, so I always keep that. And most of my clothes are like sweatsuits, hiking pants, stuff like that, right? I got overalls. I think if you watched the first episode, I was in camo overalls. I'm in those things probably 70% of the time because I'm always out hiking and moving around and things like that. So a lot of those clothes just hang inside the truck. I don't need like a closet in here. The things where it's nice and convenient would be to have, I just need a tote for socks, t-shirts, underwear, stuff like that. But it's just one tote does all of that, right? So I got that, and that's basically it. Now, there's one thing that I didn't, well, there's 2 things. It's regarding water that I haven't talked to you about yet, that everybody's tolerance and needs and stuff will be different on this. I have figured out for myself that I'm okay with, as long as I don't, exert myself a lot or whatever. I don't need like to forensically shower every single, day or whatever. Now, if I'm out hiking and sweating and in the woods and whatever, absolutely I want to shower. But otherwise, every other day is typically fine, particularly if I have not exerted myself or anything. So, just a very basic approach. I just got little simple wash basins. I did this in my Sprinter van, and you just put in your soapy water. You can wash your hands and your face and all that stuff, your underarms, and if you want to do your privates or whatever, that's fine. That's up to you. But yeah, I mean, people existed for thousands of years that didn't have, these fancy 100 square foot showers or whatever, right? It's just so funny to me. So the other thing I do is when I have inclement weather, I want to be able to shower, and I do have a gym membership, and I do use that a lot for exercise. It's just too cold, it's too hot, it's bad weather, it's raining, whatever it might be. Exercise is a key important point of me as I'm getting older. So in order to stay healthy and to do the best that I can, I'm going to do everything I can to stay healthy and strong. Then the bonus there is that they have private showers. And there are different types of chains around, from $10 a month to $30 or $40, $50 a month. I guess it could be even more, I don't know. But at least in my area, you've got two choices that are like nationwide chains. And yeah, so it's really pretty simple. I shower over there 3 or 4 times a week. I just kind of bundle, I do my workout, take my shower, totally refreshed, feel great, got a fresh shower, and off I go, right? So in between, the little soapy wash basin and stuff works for me. For some people, particularly, I think a lot of ladies would have a lot of problem with that approach. And it just depends on what your personal needs and desires are. For me, I'm just fine with it. The other thing is, I don't need running water. Like, in other words, I am not installing and doing a fancy shower system and, even running water in here. Nope, not doing it. I am keeping it very simple. Of course, I want fresh water on hand, and I have basically, I think they're 7-gallon totes, and they fit inside of milk crates, and I just happen to have a bunch of those. I've collected them over the years, and I put that in my little garage area. That's that 2-foot area at the end of the trailer here. And I can keep, 2 or 3 of those on hand, and that's way more than enough water for me. And in my case, if I'm out away from, I will call civilization, usually it's about, a week or so, I would just put a couple cases of bottled water there. I would, move, maybe 6 at a time into my refrigerator. The rest of them can sit in the back of the truck. And then the water in the totes are used for washing dishes and silverware and, just washing your hands or whatever you might need. So, and the reason I know I don't need all that fancy stuff, running water and sinks and all this stuff, is I've had it. In previous builds throughout the years, I went to the trouble. I did all that fancy plumbing. I did all this. I don't need it. And it's just so funny that when you just realize how you can accomplish things, the little bitty plastic wash basins that you can get from Walmart or wherever, they're like whatever, $2 or $3, and you just stack them, one to wash, and they got one with a little dish drainer, I think you call it, or strainer or whatever it is, and you just wash it, you rinse it off, and you put it in there, you're done. And it's so simple, right? And then when I'm not using that, I put a paper towel roll fits in there, wash rags, hand towels, and things like that. So that brings up, how do you do laundry? Well, I've done it all on, we'll call tiny living, remote living, whatever, however you want to phrase this or whatever. And for me, the easiest solution is that I live near a town, and they have laundromat services, and they even offer the ability to drop your stuff off, and it's incredibly affordable. And it's a small rural town, and you might not have those options if you're like in a big city or something like that. But yeah, I just don't want to spend my time over there setting in a laundromat doing that. I mean, it's not that I mind doing that. It's just I have a better use of my time. I'd rather be reading, learning, hiking. I'll drop the laundry off, and there's a park literally like less than 5 minutes away. I'll go walk over there for like 2 hours, and I come back and it's done. It's like It's a great exchange of time and money for me. But so that's how I cover all that. And then the last thing that you're going to have to address is where in the heck do you, put the cargo trailer? You're going to have different options. There's people that, and I've done a lot of it. I mean, I've traveled all over the country. I've been to most, not all, most. I do have it on my bucket list to get to the rest of the national parks. So I've traveled for long periods of time, and you see all this stuff on Instagram or YouTube or social media, I guess in general, about all these profound realizations of how free they are about living in their van and or living in their camper or RV or whatever it is. Well, I'm going to call bullshit on a lot of that, because the truth is, how do you get mail? How do you you got to maintain, I go to the dentist every 6 months. I, usually don't have to go to the doctor that much, but maybe a couple times a year. Sometimes in some years more. You get the flu, you get this, whatever. Just having that establishment of the core around, the same doctor, the dentist, for me, and I'll get into that in just a minute, I chose to have a small piece of land, right? And in comparison of having a small piece of land, which you can absolutely bring electricity into, and I did. You can absolutely bring water into that, and I did. And you can do that in comparison to having a full-on house and all this stuff. It's not even close, to the same cost. And it just depends on where you want to live or what you want to do. But for me, I just wanted to be just a little bit outside of town. You kind of get away from all the, ordinances and regulations and things like that. But you wanted to be close enough to go to the doctor, go to the dentist, go to the grocery store, do the things, whatever the things are in your life that you like. It's important to be close to that stuff. You don't want to be whatever. I had a chapter where my son and I did off-grid cabins, build from scratch, and it was an amazing adventure earlier in my life, and we both absolutely loved it, but it was hard. And we were an hour away from a grocery store, and even those choices weren't like spectacular, right? And when you get sick and you need medication or whatever it is, being, really remote gets pretty challenging. So a lot of the stuff that you see online is, I think it's a bunch of bullshit, right? And it also depends on how old you are. It depends on your health conditions. It depends on your personal preferences. There's so many variables. I can't tell you what the right answer is for you. Only you know what that is. And for me, I've lived through enough variations, either like full-on life experience or through abbreviated experiences like long-term traveling in the van for a month at a time. And I've even been out for 3 months at a time before. So when you live in a van traveling for 3 months, you get a very strong sense of exactly what it would be like to do that full time. And that's exactly why I got a cargo trailer as opposed to a van, right? Because I want to be able to drive my truck independent. I don't want to lose my house if and when, it's not if, it's when it will break down. So you had a major repair on your van and it's going to be in the shop for 4 days. Now what? Can you afford a hotel for 4 nights? Do you have friends and family that you can go stay with? Maybe the answer is no to all of those things. Only you know the answer to that, right? But I didn't want to deal with that. Plus, I need a truck because of the places that I like to go, right? So there again, it's very personalized for each of us, right? So that's how I approached it. And I enjoy being immersed in nature. I enjoy going out my front door, no matter if it's 112 square feet or 5,000 square feet. I like going out and not seeing people. And I love being immersed in nature. So those are just some ideas, and I want you to have the full story of how I'm approaching this so that you can ask questions. You make sure you drop them in the comments below. You can maybe get some ideas or be inspired here. I'm not saying my choices are right for anybody other than me. They're just choices that I've made based on real life experience and my personal preferences, right? So if there's anything I missed, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer that for you. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It lets me know that you're interested in this content. And there's one thing that I'll always say, and I said it at the beginning, I'll always be honest with you. I'll be authentic and genuine, and I will just tell you what I really think. And I can tell you why I think that. And I think that's so important today because there's so many opinions about so many things, and you'll get into conversations with people and they'll have no basis of why they're influenced in that direction. Well, I think that's dumb. And if you have an opinion about something, even if I don't agree with it, I will absolutely respect you and we can agree to disagree. If you can tell me why you have that opinion, you have my respect. If you cannot tell me why you have that opinion, then I just think those are silly people. So anyway, thanks for sticking in here. If you made it this long, I'll see you in the next episode where we'll be going in and exploring more of the things beyond the build. But what I will do in the next 6 episodes, as I get more done, I will share little updates to show you where I'm at. So what you should see in episode 3 is it's not going to be about the build, but the plan is to finish up just a couple small pieces of insulation today and get all the wall boards back up. And then I've got to go find a trim solution, and I got to get it all painted. And then I've got to work on getting the insulation up in the ceiling and get the beadboard going. I've got vents on order for the fresh air ventilation. I can't do anything until they get here. I've got to drill some holes, and there's always a thousand things to do here. So anyway, take care, and I'll see you soon.